I don't know. Oh, good morning, Donna. Good morning, Pastor Clive. Oh, I've lost Elizabeth. So let's talk in the meantime while she is sorting out whatever is going on there. Yes, so we talked last week about a couple of weeks last week. I think last week we talked about no, saying no. It's okay to say no, to say you can't. I'm not able to at this time because the pressures are going to come from family members. The pressures are going to come from associates. The pressures are going to come from all different directions, telling us what we need to and need not to do in this holiday season. And we want to be able to stand up and say, no, I cannot. No, I'm not able to. Right? So I'm going to invite again Elizabeth up and hopefully all is well. Okay, it's well. You can hear her. Please introduce
Good
yourself to
morning.
the
So the
guests.
internet and I was fighting this morning. My name is Elizabeth. I am a life coach or rehab therapist, a mom, a YouTuber, a podcaster. I think that's everything.
Many things. These are many things, people. And she spoke to us 2 weeks ago. We've had her, right? And it is our third week. And so this week we want to do a recap. So we have a couple of things that we want to talk about that are just refresh about, as I was telling the listeners earlier and the viewers. So we want to first start with understanding holiday stress and expectations because again we know that everybody has a demand of us at this time and we have to be strong on our 2 feet to say I can't. Let's talk about that, Elizabeth. What are some specific holiday stressors? What are some of the things that usually at holiday times stress comes?
You know, it's so funny. I thought about you just last night. I don't know if you know Tabitha Brown. She's a U.S. Celebrity, Christian celebrity, and she posted on her page yesterday uh, kind of a briefing of not to stress yourself out during the holidays, and it's basically what we talked about a few weeks ago or over the last 2 weeks. Um, is setting your own expectation first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're able to tell someone else where you can meet them. So we talked about last week, I think it was last week, we talked about a little bit about finances, looking at your own finances, looking at your own well-being, knowing where you are at so that you can know how much you can give someone else. So if you're looking at your calendar, you're looking at all the events that's going to be happening throughout the holidays, knowing whether or not you're going to be able to cook this Christmas dinner for the family or cook the dinner for work or whatever other social events. So then you're able to one, look at your finances, look at your time, how that's going to be spent, and then know for yourself, are you able to give more
Mm.
without feeling depleted?
Ah, so we must be able to, and we have to stand up firmly because sometimes this can cause vexation, vexation in the home, vexation all over because persons are saying, "We always do this every year. This is what we
You've been
do."
doing it every year? Yes, yes. Every year we do it. So there's already an expectation that we've created for them, and now we're going to be changing their expectation. And we talked about having the conversation. So that's why you have the conversation prior to having the events. So you're already setting the tone before the event. So before the week of Christmas, you're not just saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do it." You let them know it's a month out. You let them know now. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm looking at my finances. I'm looking at my time. I'm looking at whatever. I don't feel like it. I'm not able to do it. And so you're setting the tone early so that if they need to find someone else to do it or figure out how it's going to be done, they have enough time.
Yeah, because because if you do that too, so in short order, such you don't give people time to prepare, and they cannot
Right.
feel good. Because if it's something that you've always done, and then all of a sudden you're saying you're not gonna do it, probably they're thinking something is wrong, and a lot of things can transpire in that period when you're saying you genuinely cannot do it, or you genuinely cannot afford to do it. and so on. And again, I have to refer persons back to the sessions with Mr. Douglas, or financial sessions. That persons need to go and listen to what he's saying about budgeting, what he says about how
Yeah.
you handle your finances at this time. Because whether we are celebrating Christmas in a materialistic way or not, we end up spending a lot this time of the year anyway. Something
Yeah.
about this time of the year that takes your money, right? And
It's
so
it's the music.
I think there's a Pied Piper playing somewhere, and everybody's following the Pied Piper at Christmas time and going to give away your money, or your money is just going because the Piper is piping. Because I don't
E-
know.
Exactly.
But it's
Exactly. Just knowing is knowing the system, is knowing the system spiritually that happens. If you understand that part, and then understanding if you discipline yourself enough not to, because you can discipline yourself not to. Um, I think it was a couple of years ago, I gave my credit card and my debit card to a friend. Like, I wouldn't have my debit card just on a normal basis if I've given myself a budget, and I know I love to spend money. I could sit here and be thinking about, I could think about something, and I could spend money. And the poverty mindset and the lack comes from our family background sometimes, and just so many different traumas and all that stuff,
Mhm.
right? So then when we start to think about the holidays within itself is a burden of finances. Whether you want to celebrate it or not, it creates this burden of your time and your finances. And if you do not strategically plan your finances during this time, yes, you can overspend.
Yeah,
Regardless if you celebrate or not, if you
yeah.
shop for Christmas gifts or not, you
It
just
just
end up
happened.
spending for clothing, because you're going to go to the events, so you're going to purchase new clothing. You're going to purchase dinners and foods and all that stuff. You're going to go to these different events, so it just comes with the time of and the season. So it's just setting the tone before the time of, okay, I'm going to these three events, and prior to going to these three events, I'm going to wear this thing, or I'm going to purchase this even before Christmas season, right? So it's just
Yeah.
planning and setting the tone for before the time.
Right. Let me say for the listeners, you are tuned into the YouTube segment of the Optimal You, and we are just basically doing a recap of the sessions. Now, if you've missed these YouTube lives, feel free to jump onto HGG's channel and find them and listen them, right? And give your comments too. We appreciate your feedback. If you are listening now and you want to chime in, you can send us a message on WhatsApp at 825-343-4486. And those who are in the chat, Sister Donna, Pastor Clive, and the others, just jump in and say something, tell us your feedback and if you have these experiences yourself, right? Okay, so we continue our
Right.
conversation. Now, we're saying that how can we identify these stressors though? How can we know that this is it? And we kind of spoke about managing it, but how can we identify that this is one, that's one, that's one? How can we identify them?
The stressor, as in the things that make you feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the thing is, it's different for each person. So I think it's being aware of yourself.
Right.
And that's what I've been alluding to throughout the conversations is you have to know you to know what is going to trigger you, because things that are stressors or that is frustrating for me, it may not be a trigger or a stressor for you.
True.
Um, I don't believe in spending my money during a season when it's supposed to be about Christ for other people, for kids, and all these other things. So the stressor for me could be someone asking me to purchase their kid a gift, or purchase them a gift, or try to elude some kind of purchasing of something, and that could stress me out because I could feel very frustrated over that, because I don't believe it's a time to spend money in that way. Um, because it feels like a burden
Right.
to me. So I can't say that for you, it may not feel like a burden, but it feels like an overwhelming burden for me.
Right.
So knowing the thing, because we have to learn to be honest with ourselves. And as children in Christ, we have to know ourselves enough to be honest. So we know that, yes, we get angry. We get angry at this particular thing. Why are you getting angry? You're angry because you're not able to meet that expectation, or you get frustrated, or you shout, or you're going on with, an argument because there's an underlying stressor. And when we're able to identify it for ourselves, then we're able to say, no, that is the stressor.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And like I said, it's different for each and every one of us. But some things that I could think of that is kind of normal for in general is like the time of the dinner, the amount that I have to make for dinner, for the Christmas dinner, for the families and that kind of thing. I know I have a pretty big family. My grandmother it's about 16 or 17 of them. And then from my mom, it's about four. So, and then each of us have kids. So when you put all of those factors together, how do you, yes, how do you manage
Yeah.
how much? Yeah,
That's so
how are you going to manage how much each family is going to bring,
hmm.
right? So if I'm the chef, but I only have one child, but there are 30 people that is coming, how are we managing how each person is going to bring items or cook? Because one family could feel overwhelmed with having to cook all the food while one set is only bringing drinks, right? So
Yeah.
there are
Dynamic.
different right, there's different factors that can stress different family members out,
Hmm.
because if someone is cooking and there's no one to assist them, they don't mind cooking, but they may need help.
Right.
So these different things, and I think it's communicating it. Yes, I can cook, but I need two people to help me.
Yeah.
I can cook, but I need someone to come to the house to lift them in the car, or these different things.
And
So I think it
to also to the matter of but it's very important, as you said, to communicate, because one of the issues sometimes too is that we always do it. I'm the one who always, so the expectation, because I don't say I can't. So
right.
it's yeah, and sometimes you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling, and that's a stressor. That's a stressor, because you don't want to seem like you're the one who is the party pooper.
Right. But what ends up happening when you try to manage someone else's feelings is you can't manage your own. So that's where arguments end up coming about later, because the person didn't know that you were offended at whatever thing that you didn't communicate,
Yeah.
but you did it anyway because you wanted to meet their expectation and not sticking to your own expectation. And like I said, being honest, because this is walking in honesty too, right? As Christians, we need to be honest with ourselves first. So we need to first love ourselves so that we can love others. And that's what the word tells us, right? So
Yeah.
first loving ourselves. I'm not able to. I cannot do this. And letting them know that, communicating it, so that even though there may be still be an argument, or there still may be someone may feel offended, the stress feels a little bit less because you
It was
didn't burden yourself.
yeah, 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 yeah. That is true. That is true. And also, here's the question. So we move to the other point of saying, okay, hold on, I have a response here in the chat, in the WhatsApp. Hold on. Let me get that. So, okay, so someone shared identify. Oh, all right, no, that's not a all right. Let's just get back. They're just regarding what I
It
shared.
sounds a little scary.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was because I said, "Oh, this is long," but then I realized what we're talking about. All right, so the person shared about managing expectations, social stress, time constraint, emotional overload, and physical demands. Those are some really good pointers to look at, right? Because matter of
Right.
fact, hold on, let me let me see. Let me see if I can just run. So, financial pressure, feeling obliged to buy expensive gifts or host lavish parties, social expectation, managing family gathering parties and social events, stressors, time constraint, balancing work, holiday preparation, and personal responsibilities, emotional overload, dealing with
Yes.
difficult family members, past traumas, as you mentioned earlier, Elizabeth, or emotional baggages, financial demands, as you were just speaking about, managing cooking, cleaning, and other household tasks. So these are some stressors Pastor Clive is sharing that people sometimes face. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So
so so.
if you want us to let's hit, you want to talk about each one at a time, or how do you want to look at that?
No, we don't necessarily because I can share this with those are just pointers that he shared. I want you to jump back to because there are some other things that he shared a whole lot that I certainly will be sharing from bits and pieces from it because he was even
Okay.
sharing about managing the stress itself and some of the things are what you are alluding to in terms of finance, planning ahead. And listen, all the persons that I speak to, whether it is from spiritual wellness, financial wellness, or here on mental wellness, everybody talks about planning.
Yeah.
Planning, don't wait for the last minute, and that's why you become stressed and overwhelmed. And as one of the
Yeah.
pointers that he made here about managing it is what you just said, the matter of communicating, saying
Yes.
how you feel. Practice we jump with the Pastor Clive, you're causing me to jump into what we don't reach yet. Let's go now, Elizabeth. Back to us. And then I pick up from some of what Pastor Clive said because it's similar to what you shared previously and what we are recapping. So the matter of now, how do we realistically how do we deal with expectations and improve our holiday experience? Because some people don't like holidays. As soon as holidays start to come around, some of them get
That,
anxiety and all
that's a
sorts of
stress.
things.
That's a stressor itself.
Yes. So unrealistic expectations, when we speak of that, what are some of the things that we can identify that say this is an unrealistic expectation that people usually have? And then how can we adjust them to make them positive experiences? So instead of lamenting about how they make us feel and what they are, we identify them first thing, identify the stressors, then the expectations of others. Ah, how can we handle this and make it a positive experience?
Well, I think it all ties back into the communication and being honest. So I think one of the things for me is understanding the dynamics of your own family. You need
Mm-hmm.
to know the people that are going to be around, how to manage your own emotions and feelings and dealing with the expectation of others. Sometimes you cannot manage the expectation of others, that's out of your control. But what you can do is communicate early so that you're not leaving someone else frustrated or leaving them out in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that, like I said, it all just ties right back to communicating and being honest. Uh, I've learned that there are certain family members I don't care to be around. I love them. I love them from the godly sense, but there are certain people that would change my atmosphere. And I prefer not to have that change. So what I would do is remove myself from where they are. So if we're having a family gathering and they're inside, I'm gonna stay outside for a bit, or go and just do short little quick hellos. Um, so it's managing the people. You know how people are. You know the rowdy one. You know the fussy ones. You know the little comments that they make. All
Mm-hmm.
those things. So managing how you interact with some of these family members and friends is one of the things that would help manage your own emotions as well. Because the
Mm.
factor that comes into play is the frustration that comes with the comments that are made. So you have some family members that make the little, sassy comments. You know that they make it. They do it every year. They do it every time you come around. So now, without being stressed out about seeing them, you just plan to stay more or less away from them. And then there are some that are going to be pushy. Maybe you may not need to stay at the party for too long. Um, I think for each, like I said,
You know
each
what?
situation you're gonna have to learn to manage. Was
You
that?
know what? Listen to me. Because these are things that are real. These
Yeah,
are real. But
yeah.
here's the other side of the realness
They're
about
real. They're in many families.
the
What's the other
problem is
side?
when you are honest, which is important, when you're honest about how you feel, and when you're honest about having self care, resting, saying no, and all these great things that Pastor Clive and you are saying, when we take that angle, sometimes you start on a whole different thing. And sometimes because of that, persons are reserved in stating exactly how they feel. And that would include those who are grieving. Because some persons will tell you, oh, it's time now for you to get over this. Or some persons might go to extreme and want to push that person in a corner and say, oh, just sit here. Don't try to get past how you feel. And if they do try to get past how they feel, somebody's gonna say, oh, but how could they be celebrating? And they are grieving. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, all those things are stressors. It's already stressing me out hearing it. It's a so
But it's
so
real.
so yeah, so managing, and that's why I say you're gonna have to know there are some places you're gonna have to say no, that you don't go, because that one in itself is already too overwhelming. It is already, it puts too much burden on a person. And I think for so long in so many families, we see it in movies, they depict it in many movies, our families coming together at this time, and the family comes together because this is a tradition, but it
Right.
doesn't, it doesn't end with happiness, it doesn't end in joy, it ends with frustration. And this season is supposed to be about joy and peace. And so yes, you will have family members that are going to attack you. You're going to have family members that are going to be frustrated. You may feel frustrated with certain things, decisions that you make, because it's not normal to you, but you're going to have to start to make decisions that will make you feel at the end of the day have peace.
Mm.
And especially during times of grief and loss, because each person grieves different. The way that I may roll on the floor and jump up and down, the next person sits in the corner and be quiet. For the same person, we grieve differently. And so the person that's trying to shove you in the corner, you're gonna have to make the decision that you don't want to be in the corner and you want to go wherever you want to go, or you don't want to be there at all. Um, like I said, it comes with pushback. It will come with
I
pushback.
think so. I think so. I
It
think so.
definitely will.
But
I'm not
communication
saying
is
I'm not saying
key.
it won't.
Communication is key, I think, in all
Yes.
of this. Communication is
Yes.
key. Say, respectfully say how you feel. And you
Prior
have to
to.
also, yeah. And sometimes you have to some of the times you have to bear it out a little bit. Not all the time because sometimes you can consider dependent. You will know when you have to say, okay, I was planning to stay for 15 minutes, but I'll just stay for the 2 hours. But after that, I'm
Yes.
out. You know what I mean? And it's important to say, as you stated earlier, communicate things in advance,
Yes.
because when you don't want to be frustrated, you're going to cause somebody else to be frustrated.
And that's where the argument will come.
Yeah. So, and the person who is grieving, it's important, as you stated last time, or the week before, that it's people grieve differently. Some persons might need to come out of the space, out of their homes, and find people and find company instead of being by themselves. And some persons might need to not be in the crowd, they need to be by themselves. That is again an individual decision.
Right. Yes.
Mm. But this Christmas thing is very serious.
There's a little bit of a, because sometimes you may need to stay away from your family during Christmas because it brings a level of frustration, and you may need to find a community to be around, your church community. You may need to be around your friend groups because they may be more sensitive to what you're going through rather than your family members.
Yeah. But just don't stay by yourself. Just don't stay, don't isolate. I see Pastor Clive have here. Let me share it with you. He said, learn to say no, be mindful of your capacity and avoid overcommitting. Focus on experiences, prioritizing creating meaningful memories with loved
Right.
ones over material gifts. Practice gratitude. Reflect, and you had said that too in a previous post. Reflect on the things you're thankful for and help to maintain a positive perspective. And stay present, focus on current moments, and let go of worries about the
Correct.
past or the future. Thank you, Pastor Clive, for sharing those pointers with us. And they are good takeaways
Thank you,
because
Pastor Clive.
yeah, it really ties back into all that we've been saying all week, all the month of November, and the pointers that you've shared with us, but even your personal experiences as to how you deal with grief, right? And so it's I'm telling you, normally you just view Christmas as Christmas and you don't really dig deep into some aspect of it. And this program has really caused me to dig deep into some aspect of Christmas instead of just thinking about those who are going to church and those who are not going to church and those who are. It makes you think a little more about those who you don't normally
Yes.
think about. Well, that's my experience this year. Those who are grieving. This morning, as a matter of fact, my spiritual father, when I returned to Canada, the day I landed, she died in the morning. My spiritual mother died in the morning. Yeah. And this year is the first year for my spiritual father to be without his wife of 40 odd years. The first Christmas. Now, I have
Wow.
no idea how that's going to go. I'm
Nor
clueless.
does he.
You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be a very
Right.
strange experience for him.
And
You
emotional.
know, it's going to be a lot of things. It's going to be
Yes.
a lot of things because he may want to be alone, and at the same time he may want to be with people, but at the same time, and his vision is not the best. So it's a lot that's taking place with him right now. So it's a new
Yeah.
experience for me altogether to think, what am I gonna do? What if he doesn't want to be in
Yes.
this with anybody? What if he wants to be alone? What if he should I force him to associate with people? What? So it's something.
He may think he wants to be alone, and then when he gets alone, the bombarding of the different thoughts could become overwhelming too. So he would feel a play on his emotions. The I want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. Uh, I don't want to talk to people versus I want to talk to people. He may be in a crowd and then feel like he's isolated. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of emotions that will come, but he
that's
just needs a strong people behind him.
yeah. Because when I were talking about it, and I was like, I didn't even realize this is serious
Yes,
business. I started thinking, no, oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's something else on my plate to figure out. But it's important to communicate, to plan, and to self care.
yes. But the thing is, sometimes everybody isn't grieving. So one person may be grieving because it's his person, his wife. He may grieve differently. Not that you may not be grieving either, but he will grieve differently than you would. And so sometimes you get in a space and you're wondering why someone may look so. depressed or look so isolated or sad. Because we may be so involved in ourselves, we're not able to extend or even understand what the other person is going through. Right? So I think sometimes during this season, we may need to remember that other people are experiencing, and sometimes the grief could be a loss from 3, 4, or 5 years ago or longer,
Mm-hmm. And
because
grief is not
everybody
just
doesn't
about
get
death
over it.
of a
Because
loved one. It's not just the death of a
yeah,
loved one. Grief is also separation. Grief is also divorce. Grief is also migration. Hello?
yes, yeah. So there's so many things that can happen during this season, because everyone is getting together, everyone is planning to
Mm,
do something, and this particular person may be grieving this thing, and not everybody involved in the social event would understand what this particular person is going through. So I think sometimes it takes discernment, it takes love, it takes sensitivity to really pay attention to what others are going through.
as I
That's
said,
yeah,
it's a
that's it.
good time to show the love of God. It's a good
Yeah.
to show the love of God and selflessness. It's a good time. It's a good time. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I just want to reiterate and remind the listeners and viewers that it's about planning, it's about communication, it's about self care and looking out for others. Importantly, someone shared in one of our YouTube lives that the gift of yourself is a great gift.
Yeah.
The gift of being present is a great gift because there are persons who wish they could see their loved ones even once because they are always on the go, always MIA, you know? So it's good. Elizabeth, thank you so much for these sessions, my love.
Thank you so much for your time, Renee. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been great. And we look forward to other times when we'll have sessions like these, you know. We don't call this
No.
one the last. We are
Most
looking forward to
definitely.
it. We're looking forward to other times. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of day.
You too. Thank you.
By the way, before you sign off, if you could leave a thought with with the listeners and viewers, what would it be?
The thought that I would leave, especially for the holiday season, is to be mindful of yourself first, so that you will know how much you can give others.
Thank you. Bless you. Bye, Elizabeth.
All right. Bye bye.
Ha, guys. We got a bit from Elizabeth and we got a bit from Pastor Clive. Because Pastor Clive, I don't know if you went and listened to the other clips, you know. But this looks like something that is prepared. But we have been talking about those very same things that Pastor Clive mentioned in what he shared with us. Because truly, this time of the year, we really have not been taking the time to um share Christ in a powerful way with other persons, right? I also want to share with you now. Remember that I had, let me see if I can find it back. I had shared this with you last week. We're talking about our children not understanding entirely what Christmas is all about. It's not about the fanfare and the Santa Claus and all those things. And this is a book that I have written to help us, to help our children to understand that Christmas is about the birth of Christ. It's called The Night When Christ Was Born. For the listeners who are listening on overseas listeners, it is available on Amazon. The Night When Christ Was Born by Denise Renee Brackett. That's the same me. Right? And if you are in Jamaica, you can connect me at reneesinc.com. RENAE.RENAEINC.com. It's important for us to teach our children what Christmas is really about. It's very important. It's important not to let them be misguided, because you're going to school and they're hearing something else, and they're going to other places apart from home and church and they're hearing something else. So it's important for us to teach them the right thing. It's important for us to teach them what it really is. I'm trying to see if I have a better view. There we go. That is the book itself, right? So I'm inviting us to run on over to Amazon, get a copy. And of course, when you've read it, it's important that you leave a comment, because comment will help other persons to know the quality of the book. You have been listening to The Optimal You with yours truly, Renee, your life coach and host, and it has been wonderful to have you. Today is Wednesday, right? And so, tomorrow we jump back onto the YouTube segment with financial wellness. We want to be stabilizing ourselves financially, right? And so I'm encouraging you to jump on tomorrow, same time. That will be 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time and 11 Eastern Time. And let's talk finances, because next week, well, Sunday coming is actually the 1st of December. And we'll be doing some little things that will be different. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you'll enjoy the December segments, the YouTube segments. It's going to be very creative. It's going to be very informative. It's going to be very interesting. All right. So join us next week. I am your life coach and host, Renee, saying bye. See you next week. And remember, go and grab your copy of the book. God bless you. Bye bye. I mean, see you tomorrow. What am I saying? Bless you. Bye bye. We jump on over back to studio. Bye.